suffering. The only thing that will save us is Biafra. The only thing, hear me, Biafrans, wherever you are hearing the sound of my voice, the only thing that will save you is Biafra. The only hope you have is Biafra. Without Biafra, among all men, we are the most miserable ever walked the face of the earth. I will leave it at that. This is not what I want to preach today. I want to lecture you on cell phone, how the law enforcement agencies can monitor you, can trace your call and record your calls. But like I always said, this is Radio Biafra. Biafra is our religion. Whenever we mount this platform, the spirit takes over. Whenever we mount this microphone, the spirit takes over. We begin to speak like an oracle of Chukwu Okike Abiama. I have no control over myself of what I say or what I do. It comes out, and my job is to let it go out, because I'm just a passage between Elohim and the listeners this evening. My name is Mazi Ikechukwu Onuoha. I hear from Owa in Olu. In case you don't know what is Owa, Owa is a light that our ancestors used to see. It's a very native light. Owa, that's what they call it. And that is where I come from. The son of the light. The name we bear. How can a son of the light be in a foreign land? You cannot illuminate. You can't even find paraffin for you to get up, to shine. You need to go back to your roots. You need to connect to your roots if you are going to shine. Most of us are born millionaires, but you are not going to be a millionaire as long as you are in foreign land. As soon as you get to your fatherland, as soon as you get to the land of your ancestors, as soon as you get to that land where your bones will be buried, as soon as you get to that land where the bones of your ancestors are buried, boom, it will happen overnight. I say boom, it will happen overnight. There are people who have lived here in South Africa. They were Rachel, they were poor, they were tired. They say, you know what, please help me with ticket money. People contributed money and give them. As soon as they go to Biafra land, we begin to hear stories that this guy is a millionaire. You ask yourself, no, it is connection. It is connection. Some of us, God will not bless until we get back home. I say, some of us, God will not bless until we connect back to the roots. Until we connect. Our otube. Allah, what do you call it? No, until you connect back. I am telling you, until you connect back. You know, when I go home, I'm from a royal family. This I never disclose to people. I'm from a royal family. As I'm talking to you now, there is a chieftaincy waiting for me. I have to give it to one of my father's brother to hold. So I'm even afraid to go and ask him for it. Come on, keep it for me. What I go back, the man is enjoying that thing. I allowed him to hold it. But can you imagine a royalty in abroad? My great-grandfather had 6 wives. If you come to my compound, it's the most biggest compound in our place. The most biggest. For me to build something powerful there, I need to be very rich. Even the one that I managed to build, it looks like, it was a drop. Very big, very huge. When I was growing up, I'm afraid to come out in the night because our compound is so big. Then in front, you will see a fence, like a gate. A king, it's still there. We have that, those Ajo Chared. Then I was told who I am. But here I am in South Africa since 1998. How many years? Since 1998. I came to this country as a young man. I was in my 20s when I came to South Africa. I be like, I brought a gumbute. I don't become the money since. I've not seen a gumbute for almost 20 years. And so are many people listening to me. They have not seen it yet. And they're still hoping and believe. But there is this fear of the unknown. That you don't want to go home. You're afraid, you're scared to go home. But you need to do one thing for me. Just one thing. And then going home will be a choice. You will love to. Help me restore Biafra. Help me restore Biafra. Anybody who is listening to me right now, help me restore Biafra. Nobody will force you to go home. You will even tell people, Biko na wore go ticket. Or go di ubo mini kai ubo mini lawa. Or when moto geshi South Africa lawa buy Biko tin na mota. Or go 1 month. I'm willing to stay in that car for 1 month to get home. But you need to work for it. Oh no, you need to work for it. What are you doing to add to our restoration efforts? Ashir will never give us Biafra. Cabals will never give us Biafra. Enmities will never give us Biafra. Fighting will never give us Biafra. But walk. Do the little you can do. I mean the little you can do. Do it. Let's restore Biafra. Even these little years we have to live. Can you enjoy in all 2 years to 5 years? Can you enjoy 10 years before I am now? Before we hand over, to our kids. Let us enjoy at least for 5-10 years. Because it will be indeed bad that we live all this life, suffering and toiling, and at the end of the day, we die suffering. South Africa is not my land. It will never be my land. Any day I walk on the street, everything I look around reminds me that I'm a foreigner. The road I walk on tells me, my friend, the road I walk on tells me, this is not your father's land. The car that walks past me tells me, hey, get out of the road, this is not your country. They might not say it verbally, but this is what I get, the feeling I get. People pass you, they look at you. He looks different. He doesn't belong here. And some will even tell you, where do you come from? Are you from Ghana or... How do you stop your fellow human beings and start asking them that question? This is what we go through all around the world. And I ask you, for how long? My goodness me. Let me stop here because now I'm now going out of my topic today. And the time is almost up. Once again, my name is Mazi Ikechukwu Onuoha. I welcome you. It is the 27th day of April 2022. The time standing at 19:13 p.m. in the evening. And of course, it will be the same minutes past the top of the hour in Biafra land. Quickly, without wasting time, let us pray. We will be back after this.
Allow me to worship Chukwukika Biama on behalf of the entire family listening right across the length and breadth of this very planet. Umu Chineke. All of you who are ordained, all of you who are destined to perform wonders, I welcome all of you. Now, I will present you to Chukwukika Biama in heaven. Therefore, our Father who resideth in heavens above, looking down upon the pain and the suffering of your children, as was foretold by those who has gone before us, that a day will come when the world will gang up, when all the children of darkness will congregate to prevail against your children. That time is now. We are in pain. We are in so much suffering that man cannot begin to comprehend it. And all the children of darkness will congregate to prevail against your children. That time is now. We are in pain. We are in so much suffering that man cannot begin to comprehend it. And we are dealing with them. We ask you to give us the strength. We ask you for courage. We ask you for every ounce of determination and resoluteness. Make us as hard as steel, as only you can do. Baptize us in your word, in your knowledge, in your truthfulness, and in your strength. Make it impossible for our enemies to come close to us. Destroy them before they come very close. We will be tempted, of course. Our defenses will be tried without a shadow of a doubt. Sometimes there may be breaches, but in the end we prevail, because that is your word and that is your promise. This evening we hold on resolutely to that very command of yours. Your own spoken word. The word that you gave to your children when you said to them that they should not worship any idol, they should not bow before any graven image. We have made mistakes in our lives. We have bowed before European idols. We have done everything but worship you in truth and honesty. But now, having realized the errors of our ways, we present ourselves before you, that you may do with us as you please. So it was prayed thousands of years ago. That same prayer will re-echo, because we are nothing without you. We are nothing without you. We can have the best defenses in the whole world. We can procure the finest anti-jamming equipment available. But it is you that will defend your inheritance. You will defend Biafra. You know that we are honest and truthful people. You know that we preach this gospel in the knowledge that your children must be free in the land of the living, that they may go back and worship you in Zion as they have done thousands of years ago. This is our prayer now and always, because we are your children. You can't abandon us to the forces of evil and darkness. That is not your will, and it can never be. That is why today, tomorrow and always, as you have called us to undertake this very monumental and epic task, as you have determined that your word must be preached in the land, that very land you gave to our ancestors thousands of years ago, so shall it be done in our lifetime. Allow us to be worthy to serve thee. Chukwu Abiama, allow us to be considered worthy to serve you. You know we speak the truth. Our enemies are liars. They are cheats and they are killers. They are bloodthirsty bastards, all of them. All of them bar none. They have brought their lies to bear upon all their dealings. Their tongue is very spiteful against those of them who are righteous before your sight. Please don't allow shame to befall your children. Don't allow shame to befall your name, because we answer your name, we bear your name. That is why today we make this very prayer in the sure knowledge that Biafra will be restored as your own kingdom upon the face of the earth. That you will be worshipped every blessed day of our lives, as our children will do, and so will their children. Until time everlasting we have prayed in your name. Ise, Ise, Ise.
The history of a people, I repeat, is like the stream of life from which the character form and structure of the identity, their backwardness and progress are drawn. It affords a people the platform on which to predict their future. Though, just as every stream has a source, so every group of people has a beginning.
I had a voice on the radio Biafra. London is the mouthpiece of the Biafrans. Nnamdi Kanu is his name. He made a vow to fight the end till our nation Biafra is restored. We love him, he's our mentor. Biafra is for real. Yeah. We will keep on fighting till the end.
Anything you hear on radio Biafra is the gospel truth.
I had a voice right in the air, sounding like a thunder, calling for my freedom. Yeah, now I conquer. I had a voice right in the air, telling me to listen. Biafra's freedom is near. It's telling me Biafra is my name. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home. It's telling me Biafra is my name. Biafra is my name. Biafra is my home. My home. My home. For many years after the war. Yeah, we be praying to give us a good leader in Biafra land to replace Ojukwu. Until I wake up one day, one morning, I tune to my radio 102.1 FM. Radio, Biafra. All I had is love.
The people cannot predict their future if they do not know their past.
Nnamdi Kanu's voice. I had a voice like Sunday like a thunder, calling for my freedom. Now I conquer. I had a voice like telling me to listen. Biafra freedom is play. It's telling me Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home. It's telling me Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home. My home. I had a voice right in there.
All right, welcome back once again. It is still Radio Biafra. This is Hello Motherland, and permit me to welcome you if you are joining us right now. All right, my name is Mazi Ikechukwu Onuoha here from Umowa in Olo province. Because of our time, we will continue, we will proceed. But before I do that, I need to introduce my colleague. I spoke to you in the morning that, of course, that Motherland will be, happening under the auspices of our new comrade who is undergoing training to know what's up, how we do what we do. And as soon as he is all clued up, he will, of course, join us and begin to operate Motherland, while I will move back to Radio Biafra Sadek, which is a morning slot. So he will be handling the evening slot. So I'm going to introduce him to Biafrans and allow him to greet Biafrans, and then I will go straight to our lecture. Our lecture is a very long one, but I'm going to give only the part one of this lecture, and then we'll schedule another day for it's a series of lecture, I must tell you, but we need to start somewhere very, very important. All right, Mazi, I will allow you to introduce yourself. Mazi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mazi. My name is Mazi Sochima.
Please go ahead.
Ahamo Mazi Sochima Mbanali. My name is Mazi Sochima Mbanali. I want to greet you, fellow Biafrans. I want to greet you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. I am from Olu province of Biafra land. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, my brother. All right, thank you, my brother, for that. His name is Sochima. Sochima will be taking over very soon on Radio Biafra Motherland. But first of all, he needs to learn what we do and how to do it well, because we only produce nothing but the best. And I trust him, I believe him, he will do the best. After all, he is a Biafran, and Biafrans always do the best. All right, I want to go to the lecture, but I'm having a problem with our Facebook, because I want our people on Facebook to join me. I don't know what is going on. Facebook is not acting very well here. I cannot do this without the people on Facebook joining us. Very, very important. So what I will do right now is let me try again and see if I can sort this problem out. I don't know what seems to be the problem with Facebook. Trust me, it is not responding accordingly. I don't see my audience on Facebook. Something is definitely wrong on Facebook. So please bear with me. I will take a quick break once again, and as soon as I return from the break, we will try this again. Like I said, it's going to be a short lecture, and it's going to border on part one of this lecture. And what am I talking about anyway today? I need to get the topic so that I can let you in on the topic. It is a very, very important topic, the one that you must listen to me so that you can understand, so that you can learn. I said very, very important topic because most of our people are getting into trouble. Most of our people are being abducted, and sometimes they don't understand how it all happens, right? So what I'm talking about today is going to be how the law enforcement agencies can trace you using your cell phone tracing. That's what it's called. Monitoring your calls. Well, like when you make calls, they know you are making calls, they know who you are making calls to. And also that's what we call call data analysis. Now, call data analysis is when they print out your call information. It's usually on a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet with different rows. Now, it will tell them MTC, originated call, which is your number, and they will say who you called. We have another role. They will see the number you called. Now they will see the time you called the person. They will see the duration of the call. They will also see the area location. Area location is where you were when you made that call. Area location will be where you were when you made that call. So before I go further on that, let me take a break and sort out Facebook. And as soon as I sort out Facebook, I will come back and then we'll continue. Please don't go away. You don't want to miss this lecture. You just don't want to miss it.
From which the character form and structure of the identity, their backwardness and progress are drawn. It affords the people the platform on which to predict their future. Though, just as every stream has a source, so every group of people has a beginning.
I had a voice on the radio Biafra. London is the mouthpiece of the Biafrans. Nnamdi Kanu is his name. He made a vow to fight the end till our nation Biafra is restored. We love him, he's our mentor. Biafra is for real. Yeah. We will keep on fighting till the end.
Anything you hear on radio Biafra is the gospel truth.
I had a voice right in the air, sounding like a thunder, calling for my freedom. Yeah, now I conquer. I had a voice right in the air, telling me to listen. Biafra's freedom is near. It's telling me Biafra is my name. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home. It's telling me Biafra is my name. Biafra is my name. Biafra is my home. My home. My home. For many years after the war. Yeah, we be praying to give us a good leader in Biafra land to replace Ojukwu. Until I wake up one day, one morning, I tune to my radio 102.1 FM. Radio Biafra. All I had is love.
The people cannot predict their future if they do not know their past.
Yeah. Nnamdi Kanu's voice. I had a voice right in there, sounding like a thunder, calling for my freedom. Yeah, now I conquer. I had a voice right in there, telling me to listen. Biafra's freedom is near. It's telling me Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home, my home. It's telling me Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home, my home, my home. I had a voice right in there, sounding like a thunder, calling for my freedom. Yeah, now I conquer. I had a voice right in there, telling me to listen. Biafra's freedom is near. It's telling me Biafra is my name. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home. It's telling me Biafra telling me, my home. It's telling me, Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. It's telling me, Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. Biafra is my home. My home.
My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra all over this very planet Earth. For the rest of my life, be a loyal and dedicated servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. We will serve you. We will not let you down. We are not going to retreat 1 inch. We will not surrender. Biafra will come.
He say, Biafra we come, Biafra we come, We want the microphone, Shakaman Kurubito, yeah. Every time I look up to the sky, the way you are seeing our blessings are all over the Biafra land. We are back again, yeah. Make it give me my own, make you hold your own, yeah. So me I don't want to again, no, not be by force, yeah. We're back again. Every day we keep on moving, forward. This is our time, it's our freedom time. Every day we keep on moving forward. My brother no going back. So I got my heart about the church, I got about my rock.
Get it online on your mobile. This is IPOB Community Radio, Radio Biafra, the first and the last. This is Motherland. All right, it is Motherland, and we are back again. We've managed to connect people on Facebook, so I need to go straight to it before our time is up. It's always the case when you have something important like this to deliver. Problems all around trying to stop us from preaching this gospel. What am I talking about? I am talking about how the law enforcement agencies can trace you using your cell phone, and also how they can monitor your calls, your movement with your cell phone, as well as record the actual voice communication of your cell phone. And then, of course, there's what we call data analysis. What is called data analysis? That is when they print out the spreadsheet of your call. You know, they will have it on paper, and then they will call it a specialist. We call him call data analysis. And then the analyzer will begin to analyze and say to them, you know, you call this, you call that. Remember, them, the law enforcement agency, they don't know how these things work. they rely on the cell phone companies, because in every cell phone companies they have a department also how they can monitor your calls, your movement. The whole thing is done, the whole call is recorded, the whole call is analyzed, the person is traced, and then they will not take the final product, the information, and say to a policeman or DSS or whoever and say, listen, Mr. Ikechukwu is there, you will get him there or there. Sometimes they will go with them, having their laptop with them. And why do they go with their laptop? Now, I want you to understand that also the base station, the mass, the base station is not accurate most of the time because they use the base station. If you live in Onyekwele Street, for instance, there is a base station that monitors Onyekwele Street. Every call you make will go through that base station before it now goes to whoever you are calling. So when they want to look for you, the system will tell them that you are receiving from Onyekwele base station. So Onyekwele base station will start talking to them about you, your movement, your location. So that's how it works. Now, before I continue, I've been singing this like a music. I'm a forensic investigator. So I want to tell you what I do and what I've done, that gives me the right to teach you about this. Because you don't teach what you don't know, and you don't give what you don't have. I told you that I studied forensic investigation in the university, and I worked for Vodacom. Now, being a forensic investigator is not enough. You need to work with the actual system as well in order for you to understand how these things work. There are many forensic investigators I studied with. They don't know this. It's a specialization that I'm working with cell phone information. So I worked for Vodacom. For some of you who knows Vodacom, you can Google it. It's one of the first cell phone company in Africa, the biggest, the largest, Vodacom, before the emergence of MTN. I joined Vodacom 1st of August 1999. I started off as the personal bodyguard to the former CEO of that company, the founder, Mr. Allen Craig, before I moved to risk management, and from risk management I moved to forensics, where I did this. Now, what I do is, before you get a license as a telecommunication company, the terms and condition of your license will state. Remember, it's a country that is giving you that license. Like Nigeria is giving MTN license. Now, in terms of their license agreement, it will say, you will give information to the law enforcement agency in terms of their investigation. If they are looking for somebody or whatever the case, it is your responsibility as a cell phone company to do what? To give that information, to provide it. If you don't, they can seize your license and you stop operating. It's applicable the whole world, not only in Nigeria. Even here in South Africa, MTN they give, Vodacom they give. In the UK, Vodafone also give the same information to law enforcement. In America, everywhere in the world. That's why it's not good when you say, nah, only using the MTN. MTN monitor MTN. No, they're doing their job. It is in line with their license. I want you to understand that. Don't blame MTN, don't blame Glo. They are doing their what? Responsibility in terms of the agreed terms and condition of their license. So let's continue. First of all, before a law enforcement agency wants your information or want your call or want to know anything about you, there is a law in place. Remember, these things are regulated by the legislation. They don't just walk to a cell phone company and say, I want Ikechukwu Onuoha number, I want to know what he do, I want to know whatever, please record his call. They can't do that. What they have to do first is they will go and approach a magistrate or go to a judge and say to the magistrate, I have this number, and this number I have belongs to Ikechukwu Onuoha. And I want to trace Ikechukwu Onuoha because Ikechukwu Onuoha have committed this crime or that crime. I hope you're listening. Please authorize me, or rather give instruction to Vodacom to give me that information that I'm looking for. Then the magistrate will have a look. If it makes sense to the magistrate, they will authorize. Now, in South Africa, there is a legislation. We call it Section 205. Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act. That Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act is in terms of Access to Information Act. It's an act that was promulgated into law in South Africa. What that act does, that act gives the law enforcement agencies the intelligence, the powers to do what? Access your information as a private person, as an individual. Remember, in terms of the Constitution, nobody's allowed to access your information. Nobody's allowed to trace you. Nobody's allowed to do what? Monitor you. Before they can do that, they have to go through the law. Because remember, you have a right to privacy in terms of Constitution. If they go straight and do what? Get your information without going through the law, they might have infringed on your constitutional rights. And if you find out, you have a recourse. You can go to court. You can sue the government. You can sue that agency. And they will pay heavily for that. So, what would they do? They need to suspend your right to privacy if you have committed a crime. That's what the court does now in terms of that Section 205 subpoena, which in South Africa is Section 205 subpoena. I know in every country it differs, but it's a penal code of the Criminal Procedure Act. So, once the magistrate authorize and write that subpoena out, they will hand the subpoena to the law enforcement agency. Now they have the authorization. Now your right to privacy has what? Been suspended. Because remember, there's a crime and it has to be investigated. And the only way to investigate is to do what? Go into your cell phone record to know your activities, to know where you are, to record your calls, to know who you're talking to, when you are talking to them, to know where you stay, all those information. So once they get that 205 subpoena, they will now approach us at Vodacom. While I was in Vodacom, I'm an investigator, remember. My boss will now assign me and say, this subpoena, I want you to work on it. So what will I do? I will speak to the policeman involved or the law enforcement agency involved. Okay, what do you want? What are you looking for? He said, I want to know where Ikechukwu Onuoha sleeps. I want to know all the calls Ikechukwu Onuoha makes. I want to see those calls. I want to know who Ikechukwu Onuoha calls all the time or who he calls more often. I want you to record me the call of Ikechukwu Onuoha for 3 months so we can know his activities. So once they do that, remember, each and every of the cell phone companies, they have a system in place. While I was Vodacom, we had a system we call Bastion. That system, Bastion, what it does is I will take that cell phone number he gave me. I put it on the system. Once I put it on the system will tell me this cell phone is inside, this SIM card, this cell phone number, I beg your pardon, is inside a phone, is inside a handset. This is the handset that is using that SIM card. That handset is Nokia 8210. That handset is Samsung or whatever the name of it is. And the serial number, we call it IMEI number. People call it serial number, but we call it IMEI number. It's a very long digit. This is the serial number of that phone. That is number 1. I will copy out the serial number of that phone. Write it down, put it aside, because it's going to come handy. I will need it. Then I've done the first part. Now I know the handset the person is using. Then I will take that serial number, put it back on the system. Now I'm asking the system, how many SIM cards have entered into you? Are you listening? Why am I doing that? I want to know if Ikechukwu Onuoha has another number. Remember, the police have only 1 number. Maybe you are using 2 numbers or you've got 3 numbers. So when I put that serial number back on the system will say this Samsung, whatever it is, has 3 numbers that are active, that is using it currently, that the person keeps changing. He will put in this SIM card, he remove. You know, ignorance is a disease. People believe that if the police are looking for me, I will just remove my SIM card, put a different a different SIM card in the phone. You are being ignorant. No. Once your SIM card goes into a phone, it's registered forever that you've used that phone. If another SIM card goes in there, it will register. So when I interrogate that serial number, it will give me a printout of how many SIM card that have used the phone. Maybe it's 10 SIM card. Then I will check. Out of those 10 SIM card, how many of them are current, are active? It will tell me, no, 2 of them are working. 3 of them. Then I will check the 082 number, you used it yesterday. The 77 number, whatever, you were using it today. The other one, you used it last week. It means that those 3 numbers are what? Active. So now we're working with 3 numbers. Did you get it now? Because I might call you on this number and then you realize that this person is fishy, you know. You remove the SIM card, you break it, you throw it away. And take another one, put back in that same cell phone. Then obviously you are not free. You are still being followed. So that is the number one thing that we do as forensic investigators. Then once we establish that numbers, now we're talking numbers now. We are done with phone. We're talking numbers. Now we know that you have 2 cell phone numbers or 3 cell phone numbers. What is the next step? We will now get a call data information on those numbers. What is a call data information? A call data information is a spreadsheet of your call. It's more like a bill. You know when you get your telecom bill or your cell phone bill, it comes in a spreadsheet. That is how a call data looks like. But the difference is that your telecom statement, you know, the call record will only tell you who you are calling. It doesn't show you area location. It doesn't show you a lot of information. Those information are discreet. You don't just get it. But now, because of the system that the investigators use, it shows everything. It shows who you called, what time you called the person, duration of that call, where was that person when you were calling him. It will say Onyekwelu Street, for instance. It tells us the street, Onyekwelu Street. And you, where were you when you were calling this person? You were in Amadioha Street. You understand? So now, I've now know the area location when you call the person. But that is not important because you might have gone somewhere in the afternoon and then you made a call. The most important one is we will now look the calls you made in the middle of the night, like 11 o'clock late. Those are probably the ones you made at home. Are you following? Those ones you made late is very important. They will now look and say, okay, fine. 11 p.m. in the night, you made a call to this number, and you were in the same Onyekwelu Street. 12 midnight, you made another call, and you were still in Onyekwelu Street. 5 a.m. in the morning, you made a call, still in Onyekwelu Street. What is it telling us? You live in Onyekwelu Street. Now they know where you live. Do you get it? Knowledge is power. You need to understand this thing, because if you understand, it will help you a lot. So when they now know that you are live in Onyekwelu Street, remember, the system might not tell them your yard, you know, exactly where you live. I don't know if you get it. It might not tell them because it is not 100% accurate most of the time. Remember, it's a mass that cover a lot of areas. So it doesn't really, sometimes it might be correct, accurate. It can say, like in South Africa, because of the way South Africa is structured, it can say Glenhorse Estate. You see, it's an estate that you live there. That one is more easier. But like in the zoo now, it might not give them exactly, because you know in the zoo, they don't have this GPS working properly. So the zoo don't know anything about GPS. So what they do now is, now this is where they need the help of an investigator who will take a laptop and follow them. Now the investigator will now activate what we call self-find. It's another system. It's called self-find. Self-find once activated, it's like a navigator. It's like a GPS. Once they get to Onyekwelu Street, they will activate self-find on that number. So, and they normally come in the midnight when you will be at home, remember. So what they do is, luckily if your phone is on, because if your phone is off, obviously nothing will happen. It will show last use in Onyekwelu Street by 10 p.m. And that's the only information they can get, because it is only when your phone is on that information is transmitted between the base station and your phone. Even when you're making calls or not, there's a communication between the base station. Why? When you get SMS, remember it's the base station that is saying, Emeka lives here, his phone is there, go there, you know, that kind of a thing. So that's why there's always communication. Your phone is active when it's on. So when they get to Onyekwelu Street, they will activate self-find. Once they activate self-find will begin to work like a navigator. Your phone and the self-find is communicating now. It will be beeping. They will be moving. It will be showing them 20 or maybe 10 kilometer or 5 kilometer. You know, like as you drive a car with a navigator, it's telling you after 2 kilometer, turn left, turn right. That's exactly what that thing does. We've used it successfully. You can arrest somebody just like that. So it will take them to exactly your yard, even to your room. Remember, it's your phone that is calling them. I am here. They'll go nearby, and they will be going to that phone. So you need to understand, technology is powerful. And with that, they will arrest you successfully. Once they enter that room, anybody they see, they will grab the person. At least they know they have come to the house of who they are looking for. So this is how it basically works. Now, somebody said to me, and I'm going to close with this one, and we'll continue because it's a very lengthy lecture. And because of our time, I cannot continue. We're almost up. Now, I want to say this one before I close. There is what we call third-party information. Third-party call information. I'm going to tell you about third-party call information. Somebody said to me, what if I throw away my phone in the high sea with the SIM card? I don't have that phone anymore. I don't have that SIM card anymore. Would they still be able to trace me? What would you think? It's impossible, right? You don't have the phone. You don't have the SIM card. I mean, common sense will tell you that they cannot trace you, right? But it's a lie. Thank you very much for that question. My colleague asked me how so. If you throw away that phone you've been using with the SIM card, you don't have it anymore. They will trace you using what we call third-party information. Third-party call information, let me tell you what it is. When we print your call data information, that spreadsheet, remember, it has your number, it has who you're calling. Then what we will do is we will check, who do you call all the time? Like your wife, you call your wife every day. You can even call your wife like 10 times or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Whoever you call more all the time, remember, we will now do elimination series. We forget about you because you have thrown away your phone and your SIM card. Remember? Then we'll now start following the third party you've been calling all the time. Common sense shows that that person you've been calling all the time, you know who the person is. The person knows you. It's either it's your wife or your girlfriend or your children. Because the communication is so overwhelming that you cannot call a stranger that often. It can be a friend. Then we'll now start following that person. Not you anymore. I don't know if you get it. We are following that person now that you're calling all the time. Now, remember that person is innocent. They don't know what is happening. Once they arrest that person, like in the zoo, for instance, they will beat the hell out of the person and ask him, who is this person that is calling you all the time? This number, look at it. Who is this? Because the person is afraid, he doesn't want to die or whatever. He will say, no, it's Ikechukwu. It's my friend Ikechukwu. Where is he? I don't know. You are lying. You know, they will torture. Suddenly the person will confess. No, he went to Lagos. He moved from this year. You know, he will give them your information. Because he's afraid, he doesn't want to die. And once they give him your information, haven't you been traced? Do you see how you can still be traced even when you have thrown away your phone and your SIM card? Because they taught us in the criminal world that any criminal will always leave a footprint. Any crime committed must leave what? A footprint. That is why when the forensic goes to a crime scene, they look for footprints, fingerprints, because there is this belief there is nothing like a, how do I put it, perfect crime. There's no such thing as a perfect crime, because as a criminal, you don't know what you must do and what you don't need to do. You will leave a fingerprint most of the time. So tracing you is the most easiest thing a law enforcement agencies can do, unless you know how to do what? Override it. And of course, that is what I'm going to teach us the next time when we come on air. But for now, I hope you have learned a little from this. I'm forced to teach this. I tell you why. I don't like teaching this on air, but I'm forced to teach it. I tell you why I'm forced to teach it. You know, it is very, very, I don't know how to put it. When people begin to teach people the wrong thing, and you know that this is your area of specialization, and people begin to communicate all this wrong information. Do this, do that, change your number to American number, change your number to London number. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. Because remember, when you change your number to this number, that number, American number, it is more like a sugar-coated. You are coating something, but the originality is still there. I don't know if you get what I mean. The number they are still calling you is your number. That number that you change is for the first value. When somebody sees it, they will see 44, but you are in Nigeria. But the number the person is dialing, remember, is your number. Only that when I dial your number, it will appear number. That number that you change is for the first value. When somebody sees it, they will see 44, but you are in Nigeria. But the number the person is dialing, remember, is your number. Only that when I dial your number, it will appear a specialist who deals with that. Then they will tell you. They say, if you want to break the law, you must learn the law first. Then you will know how to do what? Break it perfectly. I will leave it here. Mazi, we need to round up. We need to go because our time is up. Time is always the end. Me on this program, but we must continue. I must give way for my colleague to come up, Mazi Jonathan. He will be on standby, I know. Mazi, before we leave, I want you to say if you would. Oh, all right. Let me see. Mazi wrote something to me. I don't know who wrote something to me. Just hold on a second. Okay, Mazi Jonathan said I should continue. Thank you, Mazi. Thank you very much on that. So, let's get back to it. And I want to recap on the ones I've taught. The reason why I'm not going to finish this whole lecture today is because it's very lengthy. If I finish the whole lecture today, it's going to be baseless because you're going to forget what I've taught you. It is a step-by-step. You see, it is in parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3, and whatever, so that you can remember. Okay, you can even write down. Our leader taught us when you come to Radio Biafra, it is very, very important for you to have your pen and paper so that you can adjust. Because what I'm telling you here is gospel. If you listen very carefully, it will help you, especially our people in the zoo in Biafra land. So what I taught you initially is how the law enforcement agency can trace you very easy. But before they do that, like I said, they need to get a court order. They need to go to a magistrate, because in every country there is a criminal code that is dealing with that aspect. It is called Access to Information Act. Access to Information Act. Because every constitution of every country protects a citizen's right to privacy. Your cell phone information is your what? Your privacy. And when somebody goes to look into your cell phone information, they are violating your right to privacy. Now, in order to override that right to privacy, they have to go to a court. Because remember, there is a legislature that deals with that. They need to explain to a magistrate why we should violate Ikechukwu Onuoha's right to privacy. If the explanation is convincing, the magistrate will do what? Approve, authorize in terms of a subpoena, and say, just like the way they give search warrants, say, fine, fair enough. We think you have a prima facie evidence. Prima facie is on the face value that Ikechukwu is guilty. Prima facie. It's not that, it doesn't mean that I'm guilty, but on the face value. Because see, when you can put a cultural muddy here, cultural ala ni lembro. I believe ogu na ihe mere dị njọ. Ipo ya kpọọ m jụọ m sị m Ikechukwu ihe dị otu a. Ma akọrọ ya nke m. the main truth. So nka korogi kana prima facie evidence. So once it is approved and they get the subpoena, they will approach a cell phone company, a telecommunication company, who have signed a code of conduct, or rather should I put it, who have signed a terms of condition of their license, that they will always respond anytime they are called upon to give information of their subscribers. It is part of their license. Any telecommunication industry have that in their clause. It's a must. There is no telecommunication industry that operates without signing that agreement. So once they give them that information, and that terms of agreement is what makes the cell phone company to go and buy those equipment for monitoring. And they must have a department which they call fraud department, or they can call it forensic department. In that department, they will employ people, forensic investigators, ex-policemen, or whatever the case may be. They will employ them in that department and give them the tools they need to work with. They will work with the national intelligence. They will work with DSS. They will work with any enforcement unit. Because remember, when that person is finally arrested and taken to court, you, the investigator who worked on that case, must now go to court with that your spreadsheet. It is called expert witness. You are now an expert witness because you are a specialist, you are an expert on that field. You must go to court and give testimony that what the policeman is saying is what? Correct. That this is how we trace this guy and this is how he was caught. Without that expert witness, you cannot convict that person. Here in South Africa, we call it 212. 212 statement. 212 is a section. Everything is section in the Criminal Procedure Act. We call it 212 statement. You will tell them, step by step, like what I'm telling you now must be in writing. You're telling the courts. And the court will ask you, what is your qualification? They want to know, are you an expert in that field? For you to give an expert opinion. Like what I'm teaching you here now. If I'm not an expert in it, I'm not allowed to do it. If I get arrested now, because of what I'm teaching you now, by South African police, I will walk free because I have document to prove that this is my area of my expert. The reason being that you might be giving out wrong information that will get people into trouble. So the expert will go to court to give expert witness to that in that aspect, and after he has given that thing, you are gone. If you are guilty, you are gone. Do you understand? Now, being traced or being arrested doesn't mean that you're going to jail. It depends on what you are being charged for. Remember, the first part, the reason why expert witness comes to court to testify is because your right was violated. So they need to prove beyond all reasonable doubt why they have to go to that extent of violating your right in order to arrest you. That is why expert comes to court to do what? Testify. That is the first part of first leg. Then after that, then it will be the main case, whatever you are being charged about. So that's how the cell phone company gets involved. They will take your cell phone number, as I've explained before, put it in the system. Every cell phone company have the system they use. I told you while I was in Vodacom in those days, I left Vodacom 2011. I started in 1999 and I left Vodacom 2011. So we use a system we call Bastion. So that system, you just put in that cell phone number. The first leg is for the system to tell you what handset, what cell phone is the person using. Assuming you change your number, maybe your number is 090, whatever. But you change your number like, what we do is now 44, what. You are in Nigeria, but your number is showing that you are in London. It's nonsense. It works only for somebody who sees your number with their eyes. But for us, the people who work on the system, for us, the investigators, when we look, we don't see that 44. We see the same 090. I want you to get that at the back of your mind. It works in the sense that when you call somebody, they will not know where you are. I don't know if you don't get me wrong. It's still okay. When you call somebody in the zoo, you will not know they will not know where you are. But when your original number that you use, remember before you can get that number most of the time, they will take your own number sometimes and do whatever it is that they do and get you that number. Because they have to use your original number, otherwise that number will not work. It's an international number, remember. It's not going to work because the code It's not local, it's international. So for it to work, it has to work like a coat, like ice cream, you know, and your main number is beneath. So once they find the number, the handset that you are using, they will now interrogate the handset to find out how many SIM card have entered into that handset. How many phone number do you have? They will probably realize that you are the type that when you use one number, you remove the SIM card, put another SIM card inside the same phone. So you don't know, you don't know that your cell phone is your best friend, and at the same time, your worst enemy. Your cell phone, oh, Sabo. Mazi, your cell phone is what? Sabo Karaka or Sabo TK. So when you are putting those SIM card in your cell phone will be saying, Lela, no here. He think he's clever. Because once you put that SIM card, your cell phone will communicate with the mass. And say to mass, particular number, so a mass will register it. It will be there. You put another one, it will tell mass. Anything you do, your cell phone will be talking of saboteur. That's what your cell phone is. Any activity you perform, I'm telling you, your cell phone will be talking back to the mass. Okay, you make a call. You say, mass, I actually bought Chukuma because credit. This that goes on. That's why the mass will check that call. Does this person have credit to make that call? Is it from Vodacom to Vodacom? Or is it from MTN to Vodacom? Because if it's across network, the charges is different. Remember, that mass is more like an intelligence. It records, it decides, so that the cell phone company will not be cheated. If you are using Vodacom and you're calling a person who is using MTN, remember at the end of the day, Vodacom will pay MTN for that call. I don't know if you get it. That's why Vodacom charges you more. They will charge you 5 rand for 1 minute of that, or one minute of that call. Then they will take 2 rand and pay MTN for that. Do you understand? So your phone continuously, all the time, is in communication with the outside. You are having your phone in your hand. You love this phone so much. You press it so nicely. You play games. You do this, you do that. And your phone is communicating. Even your area location, there's another thing again. That's what you call area location in your phone. You know the location in your phone. Sometimes when you activate it, it's even worse. Your location in your phone. Some people switch their own off. But switching off the location on your phone doesn't stop MTN or Vodacom of knowing where you are. It does not stop them. Remember, you still have to make a call. And for your call to be successful, it has to register. And when it registers a lot of things. It registers the time you are calling. It registers where you are making that call. It registers who you are calling. It must register those information. Without those information, your call will not be successful. Do you understand? This whole thing was programmed. So you cannot run away from it. As long as you use cell phone, you will always be traced. Unless you are people like us that know how it works. We know how to maneuver. We know how to do it. And we cannot be traced. But as for tracing, it's normal. You can be traced. As long as your phone is making a call, you are traceable. But that is a talk for next time. I need to teach you what you need to do in order to stay safe. Not that you will not be traced. You will be traced. But if you do it nicely, you will not be really traced. Let me put it that way. I can't tell you now that you can never be traced. As long as your phone is active, you are traceable by the network. But you need to do some few things in order for you to do what? Protect yourself and confuse the tracer. That is the only thing you can do. I cannot tell you you're going to press 1, 2, 3, 4 on your phone and you will not be traced. The only thing you can do that is switch off your phone. Don't make calls. Don't use your phone anymore. But still, if you switch off your phone, you are going to still be traced. I told you about third-party information. I said to somebody, you know you can be traced if you don't have your phone anymore. He said, no, you're talking nonsense. What do you mean? Nah. I said, you can be traced. It is called third-party call information. Third party is when I'm calling my wife every day. For the past 3 months, I've been calling my wife like 5 times, 3 times, 7 times a day. But I don't have the phone anymore. And it happened 3 months ago. It happened 6 months ago. It happens a year ago. They can still take that call data and check his number. Once they can trace that number that you are calling frequently, it's called frequent caller. Once they trace that number, now what they have to do is to forget about you. Remember, you're no longer in the picture. You're no longer working. They will start now looking at the third party that you're calling. Once they get that third party, they have what? Gotten you. If it's your wife, if it's your girlfriend, if it's your boyfriend, if it's your friend who you are so close with, all they have to do is to torture them very nicely and they will confess that Jesus is the Lord. And once they tell them where you are, voila, haven't you been raised? They will tell them, no, he's no longer here. He moved last month, or he moved last 6 months. He's now in Lagos. Nowhere is in Lagos. You can't say no if you're the wife, because you know where your husband is. And if you don't say, they will take you and lock you up. As a matter of fact, they won't leave you, they will take you, because if they leave you, you're going to phone him and tell him they're looking for you. Once they abduct you, put you in detention, every morning they torture you or whatever, you will start telling them everything about your husband. And they will go to Lagos and do what? Apprehend the person. And the person will be, nah, who told these people where I am? And you start accusing everybody around you. But most of the time, it's not usually people around you. It is not people around you that have implicated you. Most of the time, it is the system. It's technology. It is technology, the same technology that you use, that is implicating you. Not the people all the time. Yes, I know that saboteurs are there. They can point at you. They can set you up. But 20% of the time, it's not saboteur. The saboteurs you have is your phone. That there cannot be a better saboteur than your phone. Your phone is like a parrot. It talks. Your phone talks. And then next time I will tell you how they record your self conversation. Even your SMSs can be retrieved. The SMS message is retrievable. People don't know that. But the SMS you can be retrieved by the network as well. So Mazi, I would like you to say a word of goodbye to our people. And then of course we will close this program. Unfortunately, we cannot open our lines today. We will do that some other time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mazi. Thank you very much. I learned so much today. I have learned so much. It's funny, the kind of information out there. And without such expert teaching, we will easily fall prey to the sugar coating, like you said. It's like sugar coating the network or the number. Thank you very much. My name is still Mazi Ikechukwu Mbanali. Mazi Ikechukwu Mbanali is from Olu province of Biafra land. Thank you very much, Biafrans. We draw the curtain here. Thank you.
Leo Mazi. Mazi, they used to tell me that my voice is powerful, that my voice is the best. But I'm beginning to get jealous now because your voice, that is there. Olugi, your voice is unique, and I'm very happy. Like I say, we always bring the best on Radio Biafra. We always bring the best because we are Biafrans, for goodness sake. So that's Mazi Mbanali Sochi. He will be taking over Radio Biafra Motherland, but of course, he needs to go through the learning, and that is what he is doing currently. And by the grace of Chukwu Kikabiama, it will not be long. We are going to make it as quick as possible so that he can start immediately. And then I will go back to Radio Biafra Sadek, which is the morning slot. Thank you, Biafrans. I believe you have learned a little thing from my widow's might lecture this evening. I might not be an expert to that level, or I might not know it all, but I've taught you what I know. I cannot give what I don't have. What I have, I've given you. And I hope that by the time I am done with this lecture, Biafrans are going to be helped. And of course, you are going to be protected, because people have been pushing me. Teach this, teach this. Our people are being abducted now and then. And these things usually, when people are abducted most of the time, it could be through this cell phone tracing and tracking. That could be the result of most of this abduction. I can assure you that. And then, of course, by the time I am done with this training, God will help us. Our people will know how to stay safe and how to not to get themselves into this problem. And of course, from here, we are going to say, may Elohim bless our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. May he keep him and protect him, that very soon we are going to unite with him and he will be released unconditionally. From me, Mazi Ikechukwu Onuoha, and from my colleague, Sochi, it is goodbye and God bless Biafra.